Hello everyone, and welcome to Just Starting Out. The inspiration for this channel really came that I found a lot of financial advice, YouTubers, books, podcasts, what have you, but it's all targeted to people older than me. I couldn't find a lot for someone who was in their early 20s, who had just graduated college or high school and was just beginning their career, now that they were starting to get a little bit more serious about their finances. All the investment advice I could find was for people with hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest, or someone with, this massive real estate portfolio. People in their 30s and 40s. I couldn't find a lot that really applied to someone in their 20s, and a lot of that investment advice just doesn't apply to people my generation yet. Now, I'll say I'm not an investment advisor. I just wanted to give some advice to people my age that I think could help. You know, I'm in my 20s, and a lot of my friends are all over the place. I've got people talking about saving and investing and potentially buying houses in the future, but then I've also got friends who are the exact opposite. Those who have massive credit card debt or student loans. And so I wanted to start this first episode by just talking about what investing could look like in the long run. I don't want to talk about, what you should invest in or how you should invest, or even, whether or not you should invest first or pay off debt. I'll save that for a later video. But for the very first one, I'll just talk about, if you were to invest $100 a month, what that could look like in the long run, and especially if you started off in your 20s. All right, so I made this table just to kind of show you the power of compounding interest and compounding growth. And so I'm just going to explain the setup, and then I'll get to the magic and show you the actual end results. So let's start, and let's assume that you are 20 years old. Let's also assume that the year is 2025, which is what it currently is when I'm recording this. For your investments, we're going to say that you start off with zero. You don't have any investments currently. For your contributions, we're going to say that you're putting in $1,200 a year. That comes out to about $100 a month. And if you're getting paid, every 2 weeks, then $50 a paycheck. So it's not a very large investment. And I'll also say, for the purposes of this kind of table, your investments stay the exact same. So every single year you're putting in $1,200 or $100 a month, and that's all the way to the end. So from age 20 to 65, you're only putting in $100 invested. For the investment growth, I do want to explain how I got to this calculation. So I'm taking your starting year balance and multiplying that by the average S&P rate of return. So the S&P does track the market fairly well. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to say that your money's grown at 10.3% per year. So, and the way this table's set up, I just take whatever you started with, multiply by that 10.3%, and that gives you your end of year total. So when you're starting at age of 2025, you have $0 invested, you're going to put in $1,200 for that year. You're not going to have any investment growth because you start off with nothing, and so we're just kind of assuming you threw this in at the end of the year. And so at the end of the year, you only have $1,200 in your account. Now for the next year, age 21, year 2026, you start off with $1,200 in your account. You're going to put in another $1,200 invested, but this year we're going to have some growth. So we're going to have $123.96 of growth, and that is this initial start of year $1,200 multiplied by your rate of return. So at the end of your second year, you have a little over $2,500 invested. And that continues along the path for every single cell all the way down. So each year you put in $1,200. Each year your investments grow by that 10% value. And so at the end of the year, it is your investments plus your contribution plus what you had already invested. And so starting off with $0 and only contributing $1,200 a month, it starts off pretty slow. You're not gaining a whole lot of investment growth very early on. In fact, it's not even until about your 8th year, when you're 28 years old, that your actual investment growth starts to outpace how much you are contributing. So it definitely does take a while to get going, but I do want to show you kind of as your life goes on how that will look. So by age 40, you'd have about $80,000. By age 50, you'd have $233,000. Age 60, $642,000. And by age 65, you would have over $1 million invested. And so it just goes to show you that if you started off at 20 years old investing only $100 a month into, the stock market, at the end of 45 years of investing, you'll have over $1 million in your account, which you could spend on whatever you want. So starting off early, and even starting with just this small amount, $100 a month, will make you a millionaire. So some of you, might have questions about, well, what if I'm not 20 years old, and, what would that look like if I was a little bit older? Maybe, you're still in college, you're not making a lot of money in college, you're not able to invest while you're going to classes in school, or maybe you don't even have a job while in college. So I did want to show you what it would look like if you had just graduated college at age 25 and how that would change your investment. So the exact same setup, you're 25 years old now, you've just graduated college, you've started your career, and you're starting off with nothing. You're going to contribute the exact same $100 a month, $1,200 a year, the exact same rate of return, exact same investments, and at the end, at age 65, you would have $642,000. And at age 70, you would have that same $1 million portfolio. So you can kind of see that in your later years, this is where the real large investment gains happen. So the more money you have, the more that compounds, the more it grows. Because, the difference of 5 years is a difference of $600,000 versus $1 million invested. So, the money almost goes up by $400,000 just by delaying it by 5 years. And so it really does go to show you that the earlier you're able to start, even if it is just a small amount, it does really go a long way. Now that you can see the compounding effects of investing and how much it could be, even if you start with just a small amount, the earlier you start, the better. And a quote by Warren Buffett, "The best time to invest was yesterday, and the second best time to invest is today." Thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe for future videos.